Okay, well, let's get started. It's 10 a.m. here in Montreal. So, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Vietnam's furniture sourcing and manufacturing opportunities, organized by the Vietnam Embassy in Canada and by HAWA, the Handicraft and Wood Industries Association of Ho Chi Minh City. My name is Mark Janji, and I'm Canadian, and I've spent the last 17 years in Vietnam helping foreign clients access this exciting market and identify compelling investment opportunities there. I'm the founder of ASEAN Strategy Group, a consulting firm focused on cross-border trade and investments for SMEs seeking to do business in Southeast Asia. It's a real honor to be moderating this important event aimed at enhancing trade between Vietnam and Canada. COVID-19 and tense trade relations with China have highlighted the importance of supply chain diversification and have underlined the need for importers to look for new sourcing hubs. In this context, Vietnam presents great opportunities for Canadian companies looking to expand their supply chains in Asia, as the country has become a leading manufacturer in the region. The country has one of the fastest growing economies in the world and is among a handful of countries able to show positive growth this year. Vietnam is now Canada's 5th largest trading partner in Asia and its 4th furniture supplier worldwide. Vietnam's annual wood and wooden furniture exports reached about $10 billion in 2019 and have increased by 12% in the first 8 months of 2020. Canada and Vietnam were among the first countries to ratify the CPTPP. And as a result, furniture originating and exported from Vietnam is eligible to 0% tariffs when imported into Canada, while other major furniture exporters in Asia still face 6 to 9% duties. Today, we have some great speakers, from government officials to industry experts. And from this event, you will learn about bilateral trade between Canada and Vietnam and about Vietnam's government's policies to enhance trade and investments. And you'll learn about areas of potential opportunities for Canadian furniture manufacturers and importers, and find out why you should make Vietnam your next sourcing destination. And finally, you'll learn how you can access this market. After the event, participants are invited to communicate with the Vietnam Trade Commission, who will help set up networking and business matching opportunities between Canadian companies and Vietnamese suppliers. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel. We'll try to get them during the Q&A session or within the next few days via email. We have the privilege of having with us the Ambassador of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam to Canada, His Excellency Ambassador Pham Cao Phong, who will share his welcoming remarks. Ambassador Phong is a career diplomat who served as Vietnam's ambassador to Malaysia and Vietnam's Consul General in Hong Kong and Macau prior to coming to Canada. He officially began his new role on July 16, 2020, in an unprecedented manner. He was the first foreign diplomat in Canada to present his credentials to the Governor General virtually. So now, without further ado, I would like to pass the mic to Ambassador.
Thank you for your very beautiful words about Vietnam. You know that we are now at a turning point in history Rarely has there ever been a health crisis that affected nearly every country as the COVID-19 pandemic has. Economically, this crisis has affected all aspects, from supply to demand, from the financial market to the real economy, from production to consumption, from industries to services, from aviation to tourism, from oil to automobile, from domestic trade to foreign trade, from developing to developed countries. Against the backdrop of such a dim economic prospect, we are proud to announce that Vietnam has, in realizing the double objective policy, successfully put the pandemic under very good control with no new cases in community for the last more than 2 months. And we expect to achieve the growth rate of around 2.8% in 2020 and 6.7% in 2021, which positions Vietnam as one of the highest growth rates in the Asia-Pacific region. Vietnam is among top worldwide 20 countries to be named a safe place against COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, renovation Doi Moi in Vietnam has traveled nearly 35 years with great leap in international economic integration. Vietnam joined the WTO in 27, APEC in 1998, and is partner to various economies worldwide. We also actively engage in the world economy and are now hub of 15 FTAs, including that with European Union, which cover 59% of global population and 68% of global trade. International integration has driven huge increases in manufacturing production capacity as well as cross-border trade. Since 2014, export and import average annual growth rate has been 12% and 11% respectively. Trade accounts for more than 200% of Vietnam GDP, turning the country into a very open economy. Over the last 3 decades, we have also transformed from an exporter of raw materials to a producer of finished and semi-finished goods, as well as the exporting services such as information technology. In terms of investment, the country has seen more than 149 billion US dollars in FDI inflows over the past 20 years. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, in the first 9 months this year, FDI is only 81.1% of the same period last year. Yet, the declining inflow is believed to be soon recovered as the government's drastic measures prove effective. Key factors making Vietnam an attractive investment destination including 1. Strategic location, being center of the Southeast Asia. 2. Strengthening institutional and regulatory framework. And 3. A promising consumer market of more than 96 million, including half a population under the age of 35 and rapidly expanding middle class, to name a few. To promote cross-border flow of goods, services, and investment, Vietnam has undergone various institutional and policy reforms. In the first 6 months this year, 8 regulations have been issued by Ministry of Trade and Industry to facilitate trade activities against COVID-19 pandemic. To attract investment, incentives are granted by the government of Vietnam to investment projects based on location, sector, and other factors, such as the size of the project. From processing convenient location in the region to unlocking some achievements in institutional reform, Vietnam has become an attractive and safe investment destination in the region. These have made important contributions to Vietnam's remarkable socio-economic development over the past few decades. From a war-devastated and one of poor countries worldwide, Vietnam now has become one of the fastest developing countries over the past few decades, registering average annual GDP growth at almost 7% during the last 3 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, like other countries worldwide, Vietnam is coping with challenges deriving from the pandemic, namely the reduction in both global demand and supply, and difficulties in domestic production and trade activities. Against this background, Vietnam is very determined to fight against the pandemic and at the same time to lay great focus on economic recovery and development, safeguarding people's lives. Thanks to that policy, the macroeconomy is stable, inflation is at lowest level, and growth quality is improved. Exchange rate is stable and foreign reserves are very well maintained. Economic life returns to normal. With a young and dynamic workforce, Vietnam has gradually transformed the growth model from breadth to depth, gradually reduced dependence on resource exploitation, raw export, cheap labor, extended credit, and gradually shift to relying on applied science application, technology, and innovation. Currently, Vietnam is reforming its digital infrastructure, improving its e-governance, and creating a business inductive and more transparent environment. Being a signatory of the Paris Agreement, Vietnam is also committed to protect the environment and fight against climate change. We have also joined Canadian efforts in the fight against climate change through a number of initiatives, including the G7 Ocean Plastics Charter. Last but not least, Vietnam very much enjoys political stability and consistently implements the foreign policy of openness and diversification and multilateralization of international relations, and proactively and actively engages in international integration. Speaking about trade, in the first 9 months this year, the import-export turnover reaches $388.62 billion, 1.7% increase against the same period last year. The export of wood and wood products increases to $8.49 billion, an increase of 12.6% against the same period last year. Vietnam continues to be Canadian largest trading partner in ASEAN since 2023. The first half this year, the two-way trade between Vietnam and Canada managed to keep a modest but positive growth of 0.1%. Being an FTA hub in Asia Pacific, we are committed to be a bridge for Canadian goods and services to the 660 million consumers in ASEAN and also to other important markets in the region. Vice versa, Canada can serve as a passage for Vietnamese products, including goods and good products, to other American markets, since the products can enjoy tax immunity as offered by CPTPP. Ladies and gentlemen, although Vietnam is half globe far away from Canada, more and more Canadian businessmen have recently eyed Vietnam as a promising location to diversify their supply chain. And the COVID-19, despite its many catastrophic consequences, I think could be the catalyst for an effective economic transformation. We see this as a challenging time, but also time of great opportunity for global and bilateral economic and trade development and cooperation. We see this as an opportunity to do better, to be more creative, and to enhance cooperation and collaboration. We therefore look forward to working closely with all of you to achieve this common goal of sustainable growth and prosperity for communities and our pupils. In the spirit of the comprehensive cooperation framework established 3 years ago. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ambassador Pham, for your insight on Vietnam and Canada's bilateral relations and the opportunity that Vietnam offers in a post-COVID world. I would now like to introduce our next guest, Ms. Thuy. Ms. Thuy is a member of the Standing Committee of HAWA. She's also the Business Development Director of Min Yung Furniture Company. Ms. Thuy is the second generation owner of the company and has 10 years experience in the furniture industry. Ms. Thuy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. So let me just share my screen here. So good morning to everyone in Canada and good evening to my friends here in Vietnam. It's my honor today to represent HAWA to provide some information about furniture and sourcing opportunity in Vietnam. So I'd like to give a brief introduction about HAWA. We stand for Handicraft and Wood Industry Association of Ho Chi Minh City, and we were established in 1991, one of the earliest wood industry association in Vietnam. Despite the name of Ho Chi Minh City, we actually have members from the south to the north of Vietnam, and currently about 570 members, of which 54% of our members are indoor and outdoor furniture manufacturers. 18% of our members are handicraft, and they produce various types of material like bamboo, rattan, lacquer, etc. And 28% of our members provide trade and services. So Vietnam, I think you have done a few research and you have also have a lot of interest, and probably you have heard about some of the new terms when reading about us, like Asian New Star in furniture manufacturing, or one of the brightest stars in the wood-based furniture production and export to the world. And I hope throughout this webinar with many speakers, we can give some testimony on that. Currently, we occupy about 6% of the global market share. We ship to major markets in the world like US, Japan, China, EU, and Korea. In the overall Vietnam, we have about 5,400 enterprises, of which 600 are FDIs and about 5,000 are Vietnamese companies. So I'd like to share some of the figures. We are currently the 5th in the world for furniture export. And if you take a look at those charts here with China, Poland, Germany, Italy, and Vietnam with the red column, we have enjoyed a steady growth in the furniture industry with the about $7 billion export in 2019. And we expect in 2020, this figure will reach about 11 to 12 billion. And with the goal of in 2025, it will become about 25 billion US dollars. And let's take a look at the trade relationship in furniture between us and Canada. Currently, we are the number 4 top supplier to the Canadian market. You can see here, we enjoy just a slight growth with Canada, about 300 million US dollars export a year. And Canada still trade with mostly with US, number 1, China, Mexico. And we hope that even though the share is still rather small, but with the CPTPP policy, we can improve this. And it is growing. It is growing. So let's explore some of the figures, compare the export value between Vietnam to US and Vietnam to Canada. Here, I only take out the number of some key wooden furniture. So you can see the orange line here is the export number from Vietnam to Canada, and the blue is the export from Vietnam to US. And you see there's still a huge gap that we can catch up to, and this is the opportunity of the CPTPP. Of course, there's still more work to be done, but we can explore a lot of opportunity from here. So I'd like to mention a few advantages of the CPTPP. First of all is the tariff reduction, 0% compared to 6 to 9% for other countries that is not in CPTPP. And the rule of origin for CPTPP members are quite simplified right now. Previously, only the exporter and the manufacturer, meaning the our Vietnam side, we have to certify this origin certificate, meaning that we have to go through an authority office in Vietnam and do that. And it will cost like, it would take 4 hours or even 4 days for these procedures. But with the rule of origin simplified, the importers, meaning the Canada side, can do this self-certify yourself. So it means that it saves you time and cost. And CPTPP also accept the partial accumulation, meaning one manufacturer can accumulate the materials from different countries in CPTPP to make the final products. And this to export to Canada, we can still enjoy the 0% tax. For example, we are a factory, we import the wood from New Zealand, and we make the furniture in Vietnam and we export to Canada. And this will create a lot of flexibility and advantages for small and medium enterprises. So I'd like to share with you some of the sentiments. I make a survey of my buyers, and I also asked a few fellow friends from manufacturers in Vietnam to ask some of the buyers about their sentiments when sourcing in Vietnam. And here are some of the words, the keywords they use to describe why they choose us. Very stable to source, comfortable to work with, flexible, friendly, hardworking, loyal, keep promise, and less mistake. And I hope that in your journey to find a sourcing, manufacturers in Vietnam, you can experience the same sentiments. So normally, if furniture industry is, we need to touch and feel and see. That's why the usual route of sourcing is you get on the plane, you fly to a destination, you go into the factory, or you join a furniture fair to meet the suppliers, and you check out the products in real samples. But of course, over the past 9 or 10 months, we cannot do that. Usually we have a fair in March, organized by HAWA, but because of the pandemic, that has to stop. And we have developed an online platform exhibition, we call it HOPE, to help connect the Canadian buyers, the worldwide buyers actually, to do the online B2B matching with Vietnam exporters. And I'd like to spend a few minutes just to share with you my own experience as a manufacturer who already have my showroom, my production floor and sales office here. So let's say you are a buyer from Canada. The first time you have no experience to source in Vietnam yet. You contact the association and give a list of products that you are interested in, and they can give you back a list of potential furniture factories. And let's say new furniture, we are lucky one, we get chosen by you, and we are already very well prepared. We have all our information in the whole platform. We can provide you with this link, and because you're far away, sometimes you don't feel the trust yet. You haven't seen the factory, you haven't seen the products, and it would take you a lot of time to explore. So with these tools, I can easily show you the kind of production that we have and explore through. I would not go through too many steps because this is an easy tool that we all can explore later. So different corner of the factory, to see how many finishing lines we have. And let's say if you're interested in machinery, yeah, you can browse to some machine area. for example. And of course, you would be interested in the products, right? To see how the products, whether the style fits your company. So you can browse through the showroom, different corner. Yes, and select the different products. So in my real experience, after I give the customer some of these links, they browse through and they will, print screen some of the shot of the products and they will make inquiry on pricing. And after that, if the price match, they will ask maybe some QC staff, one QC staff to come and check out the drill sample in the showroom. And then we establish the connection from there. And we have had real results from the handicraft members who make real sales through this platform. So it is a useful tool, and I encourage everyone to connect through here. In October, we already done several business matching events between a Canadian company, Holland Import, and a few Vietnamese manufacturers. So with that, I thank everyone for listening, and do contact us if you need any service for business matching. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Thuy. Really appreciate your insight on the CPTPP and the benefits the Vietnamese furniture sector can offer Canadian companies. Also, thank you for introducing HAWA's Hope Fair, which provides the virtual gateway to Vietnam's furniture industry. I think I invite everyone, as you did, to check out that platform. I would now like to introduce our next speaker, Mr. David Turnbull, who is the Business Development Director at Canadian Wood Vietnam, a division of the Forestry Innovation Investment, a non-profit market development agency for Canadian lumber, primarily from BC. David has over 30 years experience in the forest industry and is the lead technical expert, bringing a strong knowledge of Canadian wood species and their potential end uses to Vietnam. David, please take it over.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, as Mark mentioned, my name is David Turnbull, and I'm the Director of Business Development for Canadian Wood in Vietnam. I am currently based in Ho Chi Minh City. Canadian Wood is a government-funded organization. Our goal is really quite simple. It's to promote the increased use of Canadian lumber in Vietnam. And we're aiming to do that by educating and working with a variety of Vietnamese manufacturers, wholesalers, architects, and designers. And just to, again, to try and emphasize with them the benefits that could accrue to them by using Canadian lumber. Canadian Wood has been in Vietnam for over 3 years now. We are gradually increasing our footprint in this company. And we are, again, intent on making a greater commitment to this important market. So what I'd like to do today is give you a very high-level overview of some of our forestry practices and a look at some of our most common softwood species. Wood is nature's most renewable resource. Canada is a forest-rich nation. We have over 10% of the world's forested area. Over the last 20 years, Canada has experienced zero deforestation. No country in the world takes greater care of its forests than Canada. Being outdoors and enjoying nature is very important to Canadians. And as such, we hold our forest companies to very high standards. No country in the world has better sawmilling abilities than a Canadian mill. Our companies are constantly reinvesting in our mills to ensure that we continue to produce the quality products that our customers expect. No country in the world is a fairer trader than Canada. We pride ourselves on trying to build long-term, mutually beneficial relationships with our trading partners. Our forests are renewable. In my home province of British Columbia, for every tree that we take out of the forest, we put 3 back. We're a leader in forest certification. The province of British Columbia has more certified lumber than the United States of America and almost as much as Russia. The majority of our timberlands and our sawmills are certified under 3 different rating agencies: PEFC, the Sustainable Forestry Initiative, and FSC. I'm just going to take you through a quick overview of where the majority of our harvest from British Columbia comes from. There are just 2 distinct forest growing regions in British Columbia. The first one we're going to talk about is the coastal rainforest region on the west coast of British Columbia. Trees in this region are much bigger and contain a substantial amount of clear lumber. The 4 major species from our coastal region are western hemlock, Douglas fir, yellow cedar, and western red cedar. Approximately 60% of the standing trees in the coastal rainforest are hemlock. This is a species that we are actively promoting here in Vietnam. Pictured here is some milled hemlock from some of our high-grade hemlock logs. A typical hemlock board would range from anywhere from 25 millimeters in thickness to well over 300 millimeters in thickness. It is not uncommon to have clear lumber that is 6 meters in length. The hemlock can be available in mixed grain or vertical grain appearance. Hemlock's characteristics, it's notable for a number of things. It's straight, uniform grain, it's fine texture, it's creamy white color, it takes nail and glue well, it is high strength and dense, it sands well, and it has excellent treatability. On this page are a couple of furniture pieces that have been made by some of our partners here in Vietnam. The top left picture is a very traditional Vietnamese style bench, hand carved out of thick hemlock and stained with a rosewood finish. The bottom right picture is a more traditional Vietnamese style living room set with a clear hemlock finish. This is more of a contemporary bedroom suite with a kind of a gunmetal gray. The bottom right is a chestnut, more Scandinavian Nordic style look. Again, believe it or not, they're both hemlock. Clear hemlock bedroom wardrobe in the top left, and a bed and matching end tables with a clear finish hemlock. Hemlock can be finished to look like hardwoods, but one of the big advantages of hemlock, it's a lot less expensive than some hardwoods. The top color pane is hemlock that has been whitewashed and weathered. Below it is a contrasting piece of white oak with the same finish. In our view, it would take a very skilled eye to detect the difference between the hemlock on top and the white oak down below. Pictured here are some hemlock ceiling panels. Those panels are easily 6 meters in length in the top left, and a wee bit shorter in the bottom right. But again, it gives you a feel for the type of paneling that hemlock can give. Pictured here is a lobby of a very prominent hotel in Vancouver, British Columbia. This is the Sheraton Wall Center Hotel. This is their reception area that has been finished with high-end vertical grain hemlock paneling. hemlock wine cabinet. These are pictures of some engineered doors that we are getting produced here in Vietnam. This project is over 500 doors are going to a very high-end new apartment complex not far from Ho Chi Minh City. Here are some hemlock handicrafts, clear finished, some are tight knot. Hemlock also has some merch or more utility grades with heavier components of knots. It can be used in construction, but also we're finding increased application for packaging, crating, and cable reels here in Vietnam. Next, we're going to quickly talk about some Western red cedar, which grows on the coast of British Columbia. The Western red cedar is also available in long length clear grades and grades that will yield shorter cuttings. Here's a picture of a Western red cedar sauna. And cedar is also known for its resistance to decay, termites. We've had success in Asia getting cedar substituted as an alternative for teak or some other hardwood species that are becoming increasingly hard to source. The second forest region of British Columbia is what we call our interior region. It's more high altitude, drier climate. In this area, the trees are smaller on diameter and generally full of smaller, tight knots. The map on the left, highlighted in the green, is the growing areas of the spruce pine fir. The two pictures on the right are a typical SPF forest. Again, some pictures of some milled SPF. Typically, the SPF is used for construction purposes in North America. We're finding increased acceptance overseas as well. But we also believe if we can use SPF to build a house, we can build it or use it in some furniture applications as well. We've had some success in China with manufacturers there substituting hemlock for some of the Nordic species. Here's a picture of some tight knot SPF furniture. We also, again, think it has real potential in sofa frame and bed frame applications as well. But it can also be used in appearance purposes. Here is some spruce pine fir that has been used in a restaurant and bar that won some awards for design in India. So why Canadian wood? Well, wood is a natural material unlike any other. It's got strength, durability, the economy can work for it, workability, and the beauty. One of the initiatives we're doing here in Vietnam that I'm hopeful some of you tonight will find very interesting. We believe that only by manufacturers trying Canadian lumber will they truly get the benefit out of it. So for qualified manufacturers and wholesalers and designers, we are able to offer up to 2 cubic meters of lumber that we think could be applicable for that company's end use. So again, if the trial works for them and the economics work for them, we'd be more than happy at that point to introduce that manufacturer, wholesaler, or designer to some of our Canadian suppliers who could help them source the material in the future. So again, a very big component of our marketing efforts here in Vietnam. Finally, sincerely, we look forward to working with our Vietnam partners and strengthening the relationship between our two countries. So thank you for your time tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at the end of the presentation.
Perfect. Thank you so much, David, for sharing what you're doing to promote Canadian lumber in Vietnam. and for sharing your insight on the opportunity for sustainable forestry products in that country. I want to remind everyone to please input your questions in the Q&A section. Any questions not addressed during the Q&A portion of this webinar will be responded to offline. So now I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Bill Dow, who is an expert in cross-border trade. He serves as the North America representative for Becamex Vietnam and for Binh Duong province. He has over 25 years experience providing business consultancy, helping US and Canadian companies explore opportunities in Vietnam. He worked directly with over 500 North American companies interested in Vietnam and has managed more than 330 trade promotion events in the US and in Canada, and brought many of those companies to Vietnam and Southeast Asia. Prior to joining Becamex, Bill worked for the US Commercial Service as a senior gold key executive and for the Canadian Trade Office as a trade commissioner. Bill will introduce Vietnam's manufacturing capabilities and explain why the country is an attractive destination for foreign direct investments. Bill, the floor is yours. You can unmute your...
Good evening to our friend in Vietnam and our friend in Canada. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Vietnam FDI and for the manufacturing company. So our friend before talk about trading and sourcing. You should know something about Vietnam briefly. If you look at here, Vietnam, as Ambassador Phong said, Vietnam had a good location. Within 4 hours, from Vietnam in the center, you can get to any neighboring country in Asia. You spend 1 more hours, you hit Japan. Okay, and this is Vietnam has the best location for the investor manufacturing company. In Vietnam, we have so many different industrial zones, and we have about 300 industrial parks in Vietnam and many economic zones. Okay, and these industrial parks and economic zone provide increased access to infrastructure, pool of talent, network suppliers, tax incentive, and other non-financial incentive, special amenity in some cases, such as an on-site custom clearance. For example, if you can have an on-site custom clearance at the Vietnam Singapore Industrial Park, we call VSIP in Binh Duong and all over Vietnam. Okay, so you see that you look at the map here, Vietnam has industrial park from the north to the south. Okay, the north, we call it the north key economic zone. What is strong in the north? The north, or in the industrial park, the north, they store the vehicle parks, cell phone parks, machining, electronics, pharmaceutical, high precision, mechanic, logistic, petrochem, and construction material. So these sectors, they gather together in the north. Okay. So you look at that in the North Vietnam, you see that there's some sector they're very strong in the north. For example, vehicle parks, cell phone parks, machining, electronic, pharmaceutical, high precision, mechanic, logistic, petrochem, and construction material. So they gather in the north of Vietnam. So there's so many factories in the North Vietnam, especially for the company producing parts for cell phone, for Samsung, LG. If you go to the center of Vietnam, you see that we also have a lot of industrial park. So VSIP, Quảng Ngãi, right here, we have it. And if you go to the south is, we call it the Southern Economic Zone. So the south is the strong like electronics, software, okay, pharma, and garment and shoe, seafood, vehicle parks, and also electronics. They gather to the South Vietnam. Okay, let's give you some headline numbers about Vietnam. Vietnam, for the weight comparison, is about $3,600 a year. It's US dollar. As investor, you have to take care of the social health unemployment insurance. This is the cost to employer, 21.5%. Okay, the employee pay 11%. The total is 32.5%. The corporate income tax is 20%. The VAT tax is 10% for most products. Manufacturing competitive index rank is 18 in 2016 and 12 in 2020. Industrial land price in from $75 to $80 per square meter. Office rent is about $22 to $28 per square meter per month average. Okay, so this tells something about the incentive for the investment, for the FDI, for the manufacturing company. So if you come to Vietnam to set up a manufacturing company, you have a great incentive from the government, and the Vietnam government have a better incentive than other country in Asia. As investor, you can have from 2 years to 4 years of tax exemption. So for first 2 years or first 4 years, you don't have to pay corporate income tax. And, you know, and then after 4 years, you have 4 years or 9 years of 50% reduction of payable corporate income tax. Okay, so this will tell you something about a monthly average minimum wage in Vietnam. So, you know, Vietnam, we are divided into 4 different zones. So the minimum wage depends on where it is, where the zone is. For example, the zone number 1, okay, the minimum wage last year is $180 for the, you know, for example, for the worker in the factory, okay. But if you go to Hải Phòng, for example, okay, the zone 2 in Hải Phòng, last year the minimum wage is $159 a month for a normal worker. So if you go down to zone 4, this is far away, for example, Cao Bằng, Lạng Sơn, Tuyên Quang, you know, the minimum wage only $126 a month. Okay, so I would like to tell you something about how to set up a foreign company in Vietnam, especially a foreign manufacturing company in Vietnam market. So there are 4 steps for you to set up a foreign company in Vietnam. Step number 1, we call pre-investment approval, okay? And step number 2, we call application for investment registration certificate. Step number 3, we call application for enterprise registration certificate. Step 4, we call post-licensing procedure. Step 2 and step 3 is more complicated, you know, more paperwork to do, you know, and you can contact me. I can help you to do step 2 from step 1 to step 4 later. I cannot go very deeply today because today we don't have a lot of time, okay? So now, how to set up a rep office in Vietnam. You know, there's some company, they want to come to Vietnam with a rep office first, because the rep office will help the company to promote the product in Vietnam, to sell the product in Vietnam, and to set up a manufacturing company in Vietnam. So in order to set up a rep office in Vietnam, you must have 5 documents like this, okay? The first one is business license or charter of the mother company, legalized by Vietnam Embassy or consulate in Canada. Document of mother company authorizing the head of rep office in Vietnam. Audited financial report and document in the last fiscal year. Passport and ID card of a chief rep. And finally, the rental office contract for Vietnam office. Please understand that the rep office is different from 100% for an old company. With the rep office, you're not allowed to issue invoice. You are allowed to go out to see people, to see customer. You know, you're allowed to go out to sell your product on behalf of your headquarters in Canada. You're not allowed to do direct sale, to issue invoice. Okay, some company they use a rep office to be a base to set up a manufacturing company. Okay, for example, you use a rep office to employ people, to interview people, things like that. Okay, so now there's a lot of manufacturing company. They asked me the question like how to get the work permit or temporary resident card, we call TRC in Vietnam. Work permit is also called WP. You know, for the work permit and TRC, we divided two different kind of people. For the investor, foreign investor, I mean for foreign investor, I mean for the people who invest money in Vietnam project, okay? So the Vietnam government give you 5-year temporary resident card, TRC, okay? For a foreign worker, let's say if you want to bring like supervisor, manager to Vietnam to help you to run the factory in Vietnam, so they must get a 2-year work permit issued by Industrial Zone Authority or Department of Labor. They must have 2-year TRC issued by the Vietnam Department of Immigration. Okay, how to do it? Okay, so in order to get the work permit, you know, for foreign worker, because Vietnam we do not take any low skilled worker. Okay, we take a highly skilled worker, so we need bachelor degree, at least 5-year work experience, and certificate of police record or criminal record. How to apply for a TRC? In order to apply for a TRC, you must have a business license or seal or tax registration in Vietnam. Request for TRC, the form NA6, or application for TRC, form NA8. And lastly, you must have work permit valid for at least more than 1 year, and you must submit two photo, 3 cm by 4 cm. When you come to Vietnam, you know, in China, you know, you have one province called Guangzhou in China. Guangzhou is the manufacturing hub in China. In Vietnam, we have Bình Dương. Bình Dương is a small Guangzhou in Vietnam. Why do you come to Bình Dương? Okay, you know that in Vietnam, as I said to you before, that in Vietnam, in the South Vietnam, we have a southern key economic zone. Bình Dương has the best location. You see here on the map here.
Hey,
Bình
Bill,
Dương,
sorry.
quickly. So Bình Dương is not very far from Ho Chi Minh City, only 23 kilometers, 1 hour drive. Bình Dương is only 30 kilometers to the airport, you know, and Bình Dương also have the earliest area to be developed in the country, and also has the largest consumer market and the biggest supply chain in the country. Has the #1 infrastructure. Bình Dương is ranked #3 in FDI attraction. Bình Dương is a smart city and had 8 universities, 8 colleges, and 13 vocational schools. Okay, these are the manufacturing company at BKMX Industrial Park and Vietnam Singapore Industrial Park in Bình Dương province. Okay, so this is something about our province. Bình Dương, we have a World Trade Center. Okay, and Bình Dương also have a Science Technology Industrial Park in next year. Why BKMX? You know, BKMX was established in 1976 as a state-owned enterprise with access of 6.3 billion. BKMX specialized in developing large-scale industrial township with one of the largest industrial landmark with holding in key market in Vietnam. So you see that now BKMX and VSIP, Vietnam Singapore Industrial Park, we have our IP from the north to the south. In the north, we have VSIP, Hải Phòng and Hải Dương. And also we have VSIP in Nghệ An and Central Vietnam. And we have VSIP Industrial Park in Quảng Ngãi. And we have Bình Định, BKMX Bình Định. We have in Bình Phước. We have our presence in Bình Dương province. Okay, so if as a Canadian company, if you want to go to Vietnam to do a market surveying research, so please contact me to let me know what you want to do in Vietnam. So I'm going to give you my contact number, so you can use your phone to take a picture of my contact number, contact me. So before you come to Vietnam, contact me. We can give you free advice, free work plan in Vietnam, free means of transport with free drivers, free tour at our industrial park and manufacturing company, free translator, free tour guide, free lunches at 5-star hotel, free follow-up services, and free workstation in Bình Dương. So now we are going to bring a Canadian trade delegation to Vietnam in next year, 2021. The date is April from 12 to 14. Okay, with form back day in June 2021. So if you are interested, please contact me at my email and phone number. You can use your phone to take a picture of my contact number. The reason I put form back day here is because we don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on with pandemic, with COVID-19. But let's say if we do not have the vaccine by April next year, so I will bring the Canadian delegation to Vietnam in June 2021. Contact me for the exact day in June, okay? Summary. Let's wrap up
Okay,
about...
well,
yeah.
No, sorry, Bill. I think that that's really, really helpful. And
Yeah.
if you don't mind, I'm sorry to cut you short, but we need to get to our next speaker.
Okay.
But thank
okay.
you really
Okay, thank you
so
very
much for introducing.
Yeah. This is my contact number, and this is my last slide, Mark. This is my contact number in US, Canada, and Mexico. I take care of North America market with 3 countries. My email address here, and also my WhatsApp and Viber number. But thank you very much for your listening, and see you later at the Q&A section.
Thank you, Bill. Sorry about that. Sorry for cutting you short, and thank you for all of that information about Vietnam's manufacturing capabilities, and explain why Vietnam is such an attractive foreign direct investment destination, and for your kind offer from Becamex. That's really amazing. This brings us, so as I said, we will have a recording of this event. We are definitely running late, but I think that this is a really interesting opportunity to learn from an individual who has spent such a long time in Vietnam and has been very, very successful there. So it brings us to our fireside chat portion of our webinar. I'll be speaking with Mr. Walter Blocker, who is the chairman and CEO of the Vietnam Trade Alliance and the chairman of Stanley Furniture. He's an American businessman who came to Vietnam in 1994 when he was just 25 years old. Walter is first and foremost an entrepreneur responsible for building significant brands in Vietnam. And over the past 26 years, Walter founded several businesses encompassing industrial scale dairy production, nationwide third-party logistics, brand management, and brewing. Vietnam Trade Alliance is one of the nation's largest pharmaceuticals, alcohol, and performance material distributors. And Walter's latest venture has been the acquisition of Stanley Furniture, a US-based furniture manufacturer established in 1924. Welcome, Walter, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. And apologies for being a little bit late like this.
It's okay. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Ambassador Fong. Ambassador Fong, you're doing a great job promoting Canadian-Vietnam relations. And I know that that bilateral relationship between Canada and Vietnam is strengthening. Thanks also to Thuy for sharing her insights on Binh. Of course, David is doing his job in helping support exports from Canada to Vietnam, and Bill, my old friend at Becamex, and Becamex is a very prominent company in Vietnam. Listen, I know we've been on for about an hour now, but let's get to the point. Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world for 26 years. And Vietnam has established itself as being a prominent nation in ASEAN with a stable government, a commitment to education for its people, and the education for its people is translated into a very dynamic workforce, a very efficient workforce that takes personal responsibility, and trade networks, not just with Canada, but for the world. If you go and you really study the way Vietnam is connected across the world, it's a very transparent and clear and concise way for trade to develop between the two countries. I talked to the Canadian Trade Commissioner in Ho Chi Minh City just about a week ago because we're working on a number of different projects. Two-way trade between Canada and Vietnam is around $7 billion year to date. Two-way trade between the US and Vietnam year to date is 81 billion. Of course, our economy in America is a little bit bigger than Canada, but what it shows is the tremendous opportunity that can come from understanding how to deal, connect, and create opportunities in Vietnam, both for investment and inflows into the country, and of course, taking advantage of a fantastic workforce and driving exports back to your country, and also taking advantage of those economic opportunities. So thank you, Mark, for introducing me.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you. Thanks for this, Walter. Well, where do you see most of the opportunities for foreign companies in Vietnam? Do you see them on the manufacturing and sourcing side, or do you see them on the distribution side of things?
Well, I think it's both. I mean, my company, we operate and we have a mutual fund of investments. We built one of the first we were the first 100% foreign-owned company to get a distribution license in the year 2000. And we operate warehouses and distribution throughout the country. In 2002, we built the first 100% foreign-owned dairy company, and we were able to produce milk, juice, and tea as one of the third largest producers of those products. And Vietnam is a huge dairy market, and that could be a potential export. But today we're talking about furniture and hardwood. Opportunities for furniture production in Vietnam are extraordinary. They're extraordinary for a couple of key reasons. First is the trade war between China and the US, which gave Vietnam a 25% tax benefit and creating a centralized sourcing mechanism for the US, Canada as well. Second, Vietnam is absolutely committed to developing its education and resources for higher quality labor and higher quality jobs. I think Bill did a nice job showing how efficient the labor market is, but understand that when you're building high quality furniture and working with craftspeople, you're paying a little bit more money, but you're paying half of what you would pay in China. The supply chain is similar, and the ability to make money and do business in Vietnam is more straightforward in Vietnam than in China. And not just in 2020, but it's been that way for more than 20 years. So Vietnam has already been a secondary source of production and investment to China, not just over the last few years, but for the last 20 years. Furniture in particular since 2001 and 2002.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about what should companies seeking to source products or manufacture products from Vietnam look for when first entering the market?
Let's cut through all of the political correctness. At the end of the day, Vietnam works for simple reasons. Number one, the government is stable, and the government supports that which creates jobs and supports the economy and the independence of the country. It means that Vietnam is a very, very competitive place to do business, both in terms of cost and in terms of hassle. And that is not just coming from me. You look at the numbers. Vietnam has attracted more foreign direct investment than India over the last 20 years, even though it's a country with a population 1/10 the size. Second, you have to consider the benefit of working in an economy that cares deeply about the needs of business, not what you would necessarily consider when you think about Vietnam if you've never been here, you've never conducted business before. What we need to do as business people, we need the government to have clear and concise rules that don't change often, tax policy that's good for the local economy and responsible for the local economy, but also is conducive for driving jobs and further investment, expansion of investment, and making money. And the last is working with the people. And the greatest benefit of working in Vietnam are the people. Clear and simple, concise policy to drive a standard operating procedure. I can't imagine anywhere that is more conscientious and personally responsible than the Vietnamese worker. It's just a fact.
Right, right. Okay, well, can we turn our attention a little bit to your acquisition of Stanley Furniture? Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened? I'm really curious because from my understanding, you were not involved in the furniture sector at all prior to that acquisition. So what attracted you to that?
Let me tell you, sometimes I ask myself the same question. I'm proud because 2.5 years ago, we were the first Vietnamese company to ever buy a company off the NASDAQ, a publicly listed company. And Stanley Furniture is nearly 100 years old. It has a heritage of Virginia. And I'm someone from Virginia. I grew up, my family comes from pre-revolutionary times of Virginia. So to have a connection with that company made me very proud. But I'm kind of half Vietnamese also, in the sense that I've spent half my life here. And the Stanley Furniture Factory, which we completed 12 months after I acquired the company, by the way, in Bin Dung, not far from Bill's Becamex facilities, enabled us to vertically integrate, strip out 5 or 6 contract manufacturers that company had previously been working with, consolidate, and have a very clear and concise way to produce quality furniture, very high quality furniture, and ship back to our customers, not just in the US and Canada, but throughout the world. Second is the development of the middle class in Vietnam. Now, you may know that we built Maybelline and L'Oreal in the 90s. We put dairy on the map in the 2000s. We've partnered with Anheuser-Busch, and we built the first 100% foreign-owned brewery in Bin Dung province for Budweiser, which I sold to Budweiser, but I remain the master distributor and partner with Anheuser-Busch in Vietnam. I had great confidence in the ability to build and manage a manufacturing facility. And building and managing a manufacturing facility in Vietnam, frankly, is easier than building one in North Carolina. Less regulation, but solid and responsible regulation. A workforce that's ready to go to work and follow a procedure, and very efficient. And we were able to deliver that. So the idea wasn't only to produce furniture for North America and Europe, but also to satisfy the needs of a growing middle class, where we have about 200,000 or 300,000 new homes being built in this country every single year. And that's part of our balance.
Right. Okay. Well, interesting. Well, so how do you work with your customers? Can you run us through the process from the customer's perspective on sourcing from Stanley Furniture?
Life in furniture is like life everywhere else. People want high quality product. They want it yesterday, and they want to pay half of what it's worth. So if you can produce something that's worth something, great, and you provide a consistent quality, you're going to win, no matter what you're selling, whether it's beer, milk, or furniture. The reality is that in Vietnam, we're able to take the guesswork out of what is structurally important for business. When we're doing business in Vietnam and operating in Vietnam, we don't have unpredictability or instability. We're focused mainly on the internal issues we need to deliver and make things work. Now, that said, so I've said a lot of nice things, and Ambassador Phong, you've got to smile a little bit because I'm saying nice things about Vietnam. Let's talk about the balance. The balance is this. We're working very hard on developing our infrastructure to strengthen our ability to deliver on roads and ports to our export customers. Vietnam is ahead in some ways on that and behind in others. Second, we have a very, very strong workforce, but we're always working to help them become better educated and step up to positions, particularly in middle management and certainly higher senior management. So that's a gap as we build our young population and help them gain the experiences necessary to compete. Our tax structure is attractive, but we also need to consider other costs of doing business, like an ecosystem. So when we look at furniture, and this is the benefit of furniture, the benefit of furniture is that the ecosystem for furniture greatly comes from outside sources, timber and other products that come to be assembled and completed and finished don't necessarily need to come from an ecosystem in Vietnam to be successful. It can come from other places. That's why furniture has a unique advantage.
Yeah, so you see a lot of actually in manufacturing from Vietnam where the raw material is imported into the country and then manufactured and transformed in Vietnam and then re-exported somewhere else.
And
furniture works well for that because there's a lot of minutia work that needs to be involved in the work of transforming the product. I understand. So I think that we are really coming towards the end of our webinar. Thank you so much, Walter, for sharing your insight and your experience with everyone. I think we can pass to one question that we've received from the audience, and this will be open to everybody. But I think it's related to mainly any supply chain challenges that you're experiencing in Vietnam related to logistics and supply chain, infrastructure, logistics, supply chain, maybe things like that. What kind of challenges have you experienced, and where do you see that changing in the future? By raise of hands, anyone who wants to jump in out of the speakers, I invite you to do so.
I can do it. I can do it.
Okay.
For the supply chain, the government gave this decision. The Prime Minister gave decision 1306 to give a lot of incentive to attract supply chain to Vietnam country. Because nowadays in Vietnam, we have a lot of big players like Samsung and LG coming to Vietnam, but they came to the North Vietnam, to Thái Nguyên and Bắc Ninh, Hanoi area. So in order to attract, to make a better supply chain, so the government give the company producing parts and supply chain a special tax incentive. For example, if you come to Vietnam, if you come to visit or become an industrial park, and the industrial park, the government give you from 2 years to 4 years of tax exemption, okay, as a supply chain manufacturing company, and from 4 years to 9 years of 50% reduction on payable CIT, okay, corporate income tax, and for the cost-based incentive, they give it. You are allowed to accelerate the depreciation, okay, for a supply chain company. And like as you know that you can have a free import duty exemption for fixed access, raw material, supply and component. For the special supply chain in electronics, like high precision or wood, some wood manufacturing company, the government give you the special land rental, land tax incentive. For example, land rental exemption for maximum 3 years under construction state. And for the land rental exemption for 3 years, 7 years, 11 years, 15 years, and 19 years, or the whole rental period, depend on project, location, and industry. And the investor or the foreign company can have free or 50% of reduced land tax. These are the incentives to attract the supply chain company to Vietnam.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Well, so I think that we are going to put an end to this webinar, but it's been really amazing. We could probably extend it for 2 hours. Actually, it's so interesting. A lot of information. So what I would invite well, I'll remind the audience that there will be a recording of this. I would invite participants and the audience to check out the virtual Hope Fair by Hawa, and anyone who is interested in having one-on-one meetings and business matching opportunities can contact the trade office of the Embassy of Vietnam in Canada. So we will, the email to contact the trade office of the Embassy of Vietnam in Canada is vinatrade@rogers.com. That's VINATRADE@rogers.com. I believe that we will have a, yes, there we go. So Miss Hung, thank you. So her contact information is there. I invite everybody to contact her directly. Check out the virtual Hope Fair. If you have any questions, please send them to Miss Hung. We will look at other questions that we've received during the Q&A session and answer them offline. Again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Ambassador Pham, for your welcoming remarks and your insights. And that's pretty much it for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a
very
good
much.
night.
Goodbye, Ambassador Pham.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Yes, bye-bye.
See you later. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, everyone.
Yes, good
Thank you,
night.
Mark. Thank you, Hương.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Walter.
Thanks, Walter.
Good job, Mark. You did well.
Thank you, David. Yes. Thank you, Mr.
You're
Pham. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you very
you,
much.
chị Hương.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you,
very
Mark.
much. Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See you soon.